I stood there, trembling as the entire project collapsed around me. The client was furious, my reputation was in tatters, and my career felt like it was ending right then and there. And through it all, as the accusations flew and the blame settled squarely on my shoulders, I saw their faces in the room. My colleagues, my supposed team. Every single one of them knew the critical mistake, the fatal flaw, the way to fix it. But not one of them spoke. Not a whisper. They just watched me crash and burn, and in their silent gazes, I saw not pity, but something far worse: complicity. This isn't just a story about a professional failure. This is about psychological warfare, the devastating power of silent sabotage, and the realization that sometimes the most brutal attacks come not from direct confrontation, but from deliberate inaction. It's about being set up, not by an active betrayer, but by a chilling conspiracy of silence that leaves you questioning everything you thought you knew about trust and loyalty. This all happened during mentioned type of professional setting, e.g., my first big promotion, a crucial project at a new company, a high-stakes team assignment. I was, describe your position/role, e.g., eager, ambitious, new to leadership. I genuinely believed in the team, in the project. We had been working for months on, briefly describe the project, e.g., a new software launch, a major marketing campaign, a crucial client presentation. The pressure was high, but the potential rewards were even higher. I was passionate, maybe even a little naive. I trusted everyone around me. We were a unit, or so I thought. There were about key people on the core team. My role was to coordinate, to lead, and to present the final outcome. I was confident because I believed in the collective effort. As we approached the final stages, a critical issue arose. A major flaw. Describe the nature of the flaw without getting too technical, e.g., a crucial data error, a design oversight, a miscalculation in the budget. I identified it late, but I identified it. It was something that, if addressed immediately, could still be fixed. I remember bringing it up in a team meeting. I clearly stated, I'm concerned about the specific flaw. If this isn't rectified, it could jeopardize the entire project/presentation. I even proposed your suggested solution. The room went silent. Not a thoughtful silence, but an almost tense one. My colleagues looked at each other. A few avoided my gaze. Mentioned specific reactions, e.g., the data analyst just shrugged. The marketing lead cleared their throat and changed the subject. The senior developer just stared at their screen. No one offered a solution. No one validated my concern. The consensus, by their silence, seemed to be, it's fine. Don't worry about it. I pressed a little, but the lack of engagement, the sheer indifference, chipped away at my confidence. I started to second-guess myself. Was I being overly cautious? Was I just stressed? I started to feel paranoid. Was this a test? Or was it just sheer indifference? The ambiguity was tormenting. I was relying on their collective expertise, their assumed honesty, and they gave me nothing. With their silence, the flaw remained. I tried to fix it myself, but it was too complex. I needed their input, their specific knowledge. I approached individual team members. Describe individual attempts, e.g., I asked the data analyst for a fresh report, but they forgot to send it. I tried to discuss it with the senior developer, but they were always too busy. Each interaction was met with polite but firm resistance, or simply blank stares. No one actively sabotaged me, but no one actively helped either. They just let me struggle. The atmosphere in the office shifted. There was an unspoken tension. I felt increasingly isolated, as if I was the only one worried, the only one seeing the impending doom. It was like I was screaming underwater, and everyone else was just watching the bubbles rise. The day of the project launch/client presentation arrived. I was a nervous wreck. I knew deep down the flaw was still there, but I had to proceed. I walked into the presentation room/launch event, put on my brave face, and began. Everything went smoothly for the first few minutes. Then, inevitably, it happened. During the specific part of the project where the flaw manifested, e.g., the data analysis segment, the live demo, the budget review, the flaw hit. Describe the immediate effect, e.g., the numbers on the screen flashed red, clearly wrong. The demo crashed spectacularly. The entire financial projection was exposed as baseless. The client's face turned from polite interest to stone-cold fury. Questions erupted. Accusations. I tried to explain, to salvage it, but it was too late. The damage was done. The project was a failure. My failure. And as the client tore into me, as my boss's face hardened with disappointment, my eyes scanned the room. And there they were. Hey, my colleagues. They stood there, perfectly still, their expressions unreadable. Not a single person moved to my defense. Not one person offered context. Not one person whispered, "Actually, we identified this weeks ago." They simply watched. Watched me crumble. Watched me take the full impact of a mistake they all knew about. In that moment, the true horror wasn't the failure itself, but the chilling realization that their silence was a deliberate act, a betrayal more profound than any spoken word. The fallout was immediate. The project was shelved. My reputation was damaged. I was effectively sidelined, my career trajectory abruptly halted. I learned later, from an unrelated source, that some of them had even bet on my failure. The regret was overwhelming. Not just for the failure, but for my misplaced trust. For not speaking louder, for not forcing the issue, for assuming that silence meant agreement rather than deliberate sabotage. The fear of being isolated, the power dynamics of a team choosing to let someone fall, left deep psychological scars. I eventually left that company. The environment was toxic, poisoned by that silent betrayal. I learned that loyalty isn't just about what people say, but what they don't say. That sometimes, the biggest enemies are not those who openly oppose you, but those who silently wish for your downfall. And that a team's silence can be more deafening and more destructive than any direct confrontation. So, what's the unspoken story here? It's about the devastating power of passive aggression, the psychological toll of being isolated and gaslighted by a group, and the profound regret of ignoring the signs that your supposed allies are, in fact, silently orchestrating your demise. It's a chilling reminder that sometimes, the loudest message is delivered through an eerie, calculated silence. Have you ever been in a situation where people watched you fail, or allowed you to make a mistake without saying a word? What did it feel like? How did you recover? Share your stories of silent betrayal in the comments below. Let's expose the power of unspoken malice. If this story resonated with you, if it sparked a flicker of recognition or a surge of empathy, then hit that like button. And for more true psychological and dark life stories, subscribe to Unspoken Stories and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next chilling tale.